When Ray and the team called me, obviously the first emotions that go through your head is, oh my God, I'm scared. Like, I don't know if I'm ready.
So if your child came to you at 17, Ray J, and said, I am born into the wrong body and I want to take puberty blockers, what would you say?
But I know for me, I want to be the parent. My kids should, so I would be super open for super support, right?
You genuinely believe that you're a woman.
100%.
You're just not a woman, and you're never going to be a woman.
And
but
I know that.
Right,
and honestly, I'm so glad I came because I feel like when the cameras are off and when you're just vibing and having a chat, I know, just even by the look in your eyes, I know like you can kind of get it. But the thing is, we can also agree to disagree, and there's things that we're just not going to meet eye and eye.
All right, guys, welcome to a special episode of Candace. I'm excited for this conversation, or at least to bring this conversation. I recently appeared on Don Lemon, and some clips were taken out of that conversation I had with him, particularly a portion when he was speaking to me about transgenderism. And I explained to him my perspective on transgenderism, that it is a mental disorder. Shortly thereafter, Ray J, familiar with Ray J, he is a man of many talents. He's a singer, a performer, an actor, an entrepreneur, a business owner, messaged me on Instagram and said, Candace, I don't feel, and I'm summing up here, I don't feel that you have the full story. I would love to have a conversation and introduce you to someone who may be able to provide you a wider perspective. And I said, let's do it. So I'm going to allow Ray J to introduce his guest. First and foremost,
Danielle's here. Like, she's one of our stars on the new show, The Girls Club, on the Tronics Network. And we're going all in on this show. And I just felt like it was perfect timing. And then you're in LA too. It was meant for us to do it. Bridging the gap and getting an understanding. It's always good to talk things through. And so I brought Danielle here because her experience and her life kind of was mixed in with what you were saying, and maybe she can give you a better understanding on what it is, or vice versa.
Danielle, welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Very happy to have you here. Also very happy that you were willing to even have this discussion, because a lot of times you see people that are on opposing sides do not want to speak. So Danielle, how did you get mixed in with Ray J, and what made you want to be here today?
When Ray and the team called me, obviously the first emotions that go through your head is, oh my God, I'm scared. Like, I don't know if I'm ready. And to be completely vulnerable, I don't want to use the word easy, but for me as a trans person, and I have been for 20 years, there's been so many conversations that I've had worldwide with people. And as like a mature, classy, wise person that I would like to say I am. So that's why I agreed to be here, because I was like, I want to do this for me, for the community, and most of all for Ray, Tronics, and the Girls Club, because we have created something really special. So, yeah.
Okay, so why don't we just start by telling us a little bit about your story?
So I'm from Perth, West Australia, which is
Australia.
Yeah.
Shout out.
So growing up in Perth, West Australia, it's kind of like a beach town and a mining town, cities. And I know this is controversial and people are going to be like, when I say it, but the first verbalization of me feeling trans was when I was 4. And my mum told me this when I got older, because I'd verbalized to her basically that I was comparing myself to my older sister, and because I have an older sister and 2 younger now, and just feelings and displaying certain things. My parents and family were kind of from the country, West Australia, and had no idea about anything to do with trans or the LGBTQ. And we all know, the viewers listening, what I'm talking about, the misrepresentations and things like that. You only have to talk to someone in the community to know that I was a trailblazer for what I did, because I was literally basically the only one for a while doing what I was doing.
And now, were your parents together?
My parents divorced at the age of 6, and then my mum remarried. And so did my dad. So I've always had like a biological mother and father and 2-step parents.
I guess the first question is, when did you first communicate your feelings about your identity, and how did your parents respond to it?
When I was 4, I only have like vivid memories, maybe from 5, 6 up. But basically what it would be is me and my mum were always particularly really close. And she would say that she would just, notice like certain things that were different to the other kids. And when I'd vocalized to her how I felt, and that I kept comparing myself to Ashton, and that's my older sister, and would talk like even about genitalia, which obviously I didn't understand at that time, but I even physically did things to myself that made no sense, kind of like to her, in comparison to why I wasn't like my sister when we'd have bath time and things like that. So that was the first verbalization. And then as I got older, it just got stronger because I was able to verbalize things more. When I was being really out there with my vocalizations about being trans, all of a sudden, when I had realized in school that it wasn't appropriate to be saying those things and it wasn't normal and it was weird or I could be bullied for it, I completely went the opposite. It was never a topic to my family ever again until I graduated.
Okay, so a couple of things that I'd like to ask as a follow-up. You answered how your mother felt about it. How did your father feel about it? Because I do think it is relevant that your parents separated when you were 6.
Yeah, for sure. And they obviously separated for their own reasons. My mother explained to me years later when I had the maturity that they got a divorce based on just a complete lack of compatibility. You know, my dad this is what I like to explain to a lot of people, because a lot of people that see men with their LGBTQ children have kind of a femininity to them, or they act in a certain way. My dad is a very staunch Australian. I'm very, you know, just that alpha male. Obviously, my dad struggled with it more than my mum. But what later on came in the years, like later on when we conversed, was my dad said his issue was it was never accepting and understanding, because he could see it with his own eyes my whole life, but it was the communication that he lacked on. So he couldn't talk to me how my mum could.
And this is a last follow-up question regarding your father. When they got separated when you were 6 years old, was he involved in your life?
Yeah. What's the word?
You get 3 days and 2 days, yeah.
Sorry, I can't think of the word, but yeah, they basically did it straight away, that it was by the book. My dad had us every weekend and my mum had full custody for school hours and things.